Hi everyone, Armoured Pants here, and I have another video for you in the German lines Tier 9 T-55A premium tank, which was in the store recently and will be again, no doubt. Now, as always, we're going to have a look at the tech spec, and we will use www.blitzhanger.com to do that, which is a great asset, and all blitzers should use it. Now, this premium tank was in the store recently, and it was around €25 on the EU server, which is pretty good value for a tier 9 premium tank, right? And particularly when you consider that when this tank came out first, it cost a fortune. I think it was €59.99, something like that. So the recent iteration is incredibly better value than it originally was. Credit coefficient of this tank is 135%, which doesn't seem great, but it's actually the third best in tier 9, so not bad at its own tier, although obviously inferior to the best in tier 8. Now, I would run condensed milk in this because it maximizes the view range and reload. It gives you 302 meters of view range, which is important when you run a medium tank because one of your jobs is spotting. 100mm gun on this tank is effective. It gives you 219 millimeters of pen with AP. You get 270 or 297 millimeters of pen with Prammo, which is heat, depending on whether you run gun rammer or calibrated shells, and you get 50 millimeters versus 55 millimeters, again with gun rammer versus calibrated shells. Your damage points are 310, 260 and 420 with heat, with HE, and it's AP, heat and HE is your round load up. Now, muzzle velocity is low, it's only 895 meters per second, and even with supercharge it's 1320 meters per second. And here's the kicker: heat and HE have lower muzzle velocities, 1164 meters per second, even with supercharge. So be aware of that when you're cycling through your shell types. If you pick heat or HE, your shell will travel faster, so therefore you need to allow for that. You get 6.3 second reload with gun rammer, 6.7 calibrated shells, so therefore has a good rate of fire. Therefore you can use calibrated shells if you want to, because even at 6.7 seconds it's pretty decent. It has no gun depression, it's only 5 degrees, typical of Russian. I was going to say Russian, it's a German tank, but of course it was Russian made and provided to the DDR Armed Forces, the East German Armed Forces. 20 degrees of elevation, which is good, but overall it has poor gun alignment. It does 56 kilometers per hour in a straight line forward, 20 in reverse, so it's mobile. But as we are experienced blitzers, and we know that the top speed doesn't really tell us too much, we need to look at the power to weight ratio to tell us how fast it moves and how agile it is. And this has a great power to weight ratio, really good. This tank can shift. It is agile and mobile. Its concealment numbers are very good as well. If you take a tank with 304 meter view range, so a medium or light tank at its own tier, it has to get within 225 meters of you if you're not moving and not firing. So this is really good. They have very good concealment numbers. And what does that tell us? Well, if I combine that with my speed and I max out my view range, I'm going to have a good scouting and spotting vehicle. And that's what this tank can do. It's also a small target. It's very much like T-54 in terms of its profile, etc. As we look here at the armor profile, you'll also notice that it has a very strong turret. You can get good relative armor numbers on if you want to side scrape in this tank, and you can easily side scrape against lower tier heavies and against mediums and light tanks of your own tier and higher tier if you're up tiered. Obviously at the sides and back it has flat armor and not much of it, so you can be penned by HE and Hesh. If you're up tiered and you're in with the big boys, Yagaroos, Death Stars, we need to be careful about moving out in the open if you don't know where those big guns are. But overall, the armor profile in this tank is pretty good front on and on the turret. Dispersion, that is the maximum deviation that you can go from the target, is decent as well. It's 0.326 even without refined gun, and if you run refined gun it goes to 0.293. What does that mean? Well, it means that when you fire the target 100 meters away, the maximum deviation you can have from the center of your aiming circle is 32.6 centimeters, so it's not bad over 100 meters. Now, you can reduce that down by using a refined gun, but I would use a vertical stabilizer because it's a medium tank. You're going to fire a lot when you are moving, so therefore I would run gun rammer, Supercharge and Vertical Stabilizer. That would be my loadout for this tank. But of course, as I said, you can use calibrated shells if you wish, because it still has a good rate of fire even if you use calibrated shells, and of course you get that extra bit of pen then as well. So tactics for this tank, well, it's typical medium tank. You should play medium tank tactics in this. Get out, scout, be the brains of your team, use the speed and agility to move around the map and to adapt as the game unfolds. We're going to have a look at some gameplay in this. It's Falls Creek and it's a Supremacy map. This is a great looking tank, by the way, as well, and maybe even better looking than the T-54. With this camo, I think it looks really cool. You know, as I said, it moves. You can see here, it powers off. It's not quite as good in its power to weight ratio as the T-54, as you saw there, but nonetheless it holds alone, and it does have a very good power to weight ratio. And the armor profile is decent. You're going to get bounces in this tank, and you're going to see some coming up here. Now, I decided to, because I'm top tier here, I decided to be aggressive. You know, I'm a pretty aggressive Blitz player anyway. So go into cap, and I'm going to use this small piece of concrete here in front of me to cover my lower mantlet. And that means that mainly just my turret is showing, and you see there, when just a third is showing, this tank will get bounces. And we know that these T92E1s are little bastards, and they've infected tier 9 and tier 10. It's one of the most effective tanks in its tier. Even holds its own when it's up tiered, but there you go, massive bounce off the turret of the T-55A. Push on again to cap, draw the enemy out and sneeze. See, I can snap a shot off right into the T-54, roll back. See how agile the tank is, right? Rolling backwards, forwards. It gets around very easily. Now, bit of tactics here. I track him, hold him in position, blow modules, and allow my teammates to get another shot into him, which they do. And then I come in, snap one in, bounces off the front of T-54. It has good frontal armor, as we know. It's a very heavily armored and mobile tank, very similar actually to the T-55A here. I'm going to put one into him and I ram him, and I just want to show you how effective the power to weight ratio is here. Look at that. When I have the power full on and I hit the hulk of the T92E1, I power slide off, and that just goes to show how effective the power to weight ratio is in this. You can power slide when you are pushed up at top speed against a static object. Fluffed this shot here, decided to be clever, go for lower mantling, and I fluffed it. Could have had an extra kill. Nonetheless, my allies are able to clear him off. Oh no, sorry, I clear him off and got that kill. And even despite fluffing the shot, come around here to help my teammate. He's kind of blocking the shot a bit, but I come around behind, snap one off, block him in position so that he can't maneuver, and then I'm going to be able to help my ally clear him off. So good, effective medium tank play at the start. Basically, as a medium tank, one of the key roles you have is spotting and scouting, and if you're playing Supremacy, capturing bases. So what did I do there? Went out, we spotted up the enemy, we engaged the enemy, capped A and cleared that flank. So really effective medium tank play, and I took one hit in the whole of those engagements, got other bounces. So that's pretty effective medium tank play. You could argue maybe even the perfect start that you want in a medium tank. I've done, you know, we've discussed before about different tanks have different roles in games, and I've done exactly what I should do for my team, fulfilled my role. I'm going to slow it down here so you can just look at how effective this gun system is. You know, it's unlike Russian gun systems. You get the benefit of the German gun system. Snap. And while I'm firing on the roll, that's the beauty of having the vertical stabilizer rolled up. You wouldn't make that shot with most mediums. Snap that off. Perfect. Clear off the rim as well, and now I'm in on the IS, and he just does not want to have any part of this. He is up against a very mobile, very agile tank with good power to weight ratio. And this is, you know, I talk a lot about power to weight ratio, as you know if you watch my videos regularly, and Here's why: because the power to weight ratio you see there when you're on the hilly terrain, you can still able to get around the IS, right? And if you're in a medium with a poor power to weight ratio, you would struggle there, you would get blocked in, and if the heavy tank player is decent, he's going to put a lot of shots into you. And that's the benefit of having that additional good power to weight ratio. You're able to get around tanks even on hilly and difficult terrain, as you saw there, and that's why it's so important. That game, I think, was a great illustration of the T-55A in action, and a great illustration of how it can be an effective medium tank. Get out early, use the power to weight ratio and the speed to get out, scout, spot, capture A or whatever base is on your flank, clear that flank of enemy tanks, and then I come around and flank in behind their heavies and TDs. In many ways, a perfect medium tank display, and a great illustration of how the T-55A is a very effective medium tank. Radley Walters medal awarded in that game. I think high caliber as well. Yes. Plus top gun because cleared off 5 targets, and mastery badge delivered 2, and well over 4k of damage, which is decent with any tier 9 medium tank. So just an overall good display, and 1.48, almost 1.5k of XP, which is significant, and that's what delivered the mastery badge. So let's just have a recap on this tier 9 medium tank. It is a good premium tank, it's good value for money at its last price, and at 135% credit coefficient, not great, but good for its tier, as we said, third best. It has good DPM, good rate of fire, nice alpha from those shells. It's agile and mobile, it shifts, you can get around the map, exactly what you want from a medium tank. The 100mm gun is very effective, as we saw in that gameplay. Decent pen, good rate of fire. Muzzle velocity is not great, so it's only 13-20 meters per second, even with Supercharge. And remember, it's lower if you use HE or Heat, which is your Prammo. Only has 5 degrees of gun depression, another one of its limitations, 20 in elevation, so basically it's good up, bad down. Has good dispersion too, or maximum deviation, which is a better description, and has good gun handling, as we saw. I would run Supercharge, vertical stabilizer, and gun rammer, but calibrated shells and refined gun are also options depending on your gameplay. If you're going to snipe a lot in it, then I would use the second options. Great power to weight ratio, as we saw, which makes it a very good brawler. The music, German masterpiece for this German, or is it Russian, masterpiece. It's Bach's Concerto for Oboe and Violin. And the other piece of music is the Horde from the Warcraft original soundtrack. Decent piece of music for looking at tech specs, I think, and very ominous to boot. So cheers Mush, thanks for watching. I hope you remain safe and healthy, as do all of your family in these trying times. Wash your hands, stay at home, watch my videos, and I guess all remains for me to say is pants off.